The most challenging time in my life was 9 years ago when my son had an autoimmune condition that was aggressively attacking his kidneys to the point that he was urgently admitted to Great Ormond Street Hospital, and his kidney biopsy results showed that he had some irreversible damage and that he could start to lose kidney function within days. And they told me that they didn't know what was causing it. They couldn't explain why the immune system was attacking his kidneys. They couldn't refer me to an immune specialist. They told me there was no known effective treatment, but also that I had no other option than to give him the 4 powerful medications, which were steroids, immunosuppressants, and 2 others. They also told me that he would need to be seen for the rest of his life and that dialysis or possible kidney transplant were possibilities for the future. How I felt upon hearing all that was just complete overwhelm and anxiety and confusion, just so much confusion, because he had been really healthy up until that point. I was healthy, his dad was healthy. Yes, I had a full history of autoimmune disease running through my family, which I later understood better, but it made no sense to me that he could have such a lifelong prognosis, having never really taken anything before, and we were given no hope. So it was that anxiety and overwhelm and resistance to his medication, although I obviously needed to give them to him because I understood the danger of not suppressing his immune system, given that it's potentially life-threatening if his kidneys were to pack up. What got me through was my curiosity and also my belief in the innate ability of the body to heal, but only if it's given the environment in which it can do that. And I just believed that there was someone out there that was going to help me understand better what was going on for him. What I learned very early on from an autoimmune epidemic talk in London was that inflammation underpins every single autoimmune disease. And if we want to reverse autoimmune disease or autoimmune symptoms, then we have to lower the inflammation. That was mind-blowing for me at the time, because up until that point I was told there was nothing more I could do. And now I realised that I had to somehow lower the inflammation in his body, and I was hearing this from someone who had helped hundreds of people reverse their own autoimmune conditions. The second thing I learned that was hugely powerful is that everyone with autoimmune disease, which is 1 in 10 of us now, sadly, which is crazy and it's growing, but what everyone with autoimmune disease has is an imbalance in their gut between the healthy and the harmful bacteria. And so the biggest way that we can affect our immune system is to balance our gut microbiome. I also learned that 70 to 80% of the immune system is in the gut, and it's our microbiome that crosstalks with our immune system to help it re-educate itself, and that's entirely possible. This was life-changing for me, and that started my exploration of diet and also functional medicine, which really helped us put into practice what I learned at that talk. So, for example, with functional medicine and the lab tests that came from that, we discovered nutrient deficiencies, which we were able to supplement and support to bring back into range. We were able to uncover a hidden infection, which was dealt with a safe protocol alongside his meds, and alongside an anti-inflammatory diet or an autoimmune paleo diet and loads of cookbooks, which we did religiously for quite a few months until he was off all his meds, which was 7 months later in the end. We also explored energy medicine actually as well, because when he came off his meds, his kidney function started to look as if it was about to be impaired, and so that's when we turned to energy medicine for him as well, because at that point I felt I'd explored everything that I could. What I would offer to anyone who's going through something similar, any autoimmune disease that they've been told is chronic, is to explore the options that are available to you outside of the medical community. Yes, we need those drugs, they're life-saving, and yes, they manage our symptoms, but in the long term, the side effects can be horrendous. And there's so much else out there that we can try. So it might be that you feel better when you clean up your diet. You could explore an anti-inflammatory diet. You may have made the link between chemicals in your personal care products or chemicals in the home, and some of those are linked to autoimmune disease. So you might be called to really examine what you're putting on your skin and what you're breathing within your home. For example, we also had black mold in our home at the time, so we started using a HEPA filter. That may have made a difference. Of course, we'll never know. We just did loads of things. Also, functional medicine wasn't really around 9 years ago. There was very few practitioners, but now there are far more accredited functional medicine practitioners out there. So if you're interested in taking a more of a health detective approach and tests to actually very clearly identify imbalances within your own system that can be addressed safely, then that's also a possibility, but that costs money. Anyway, I hope that helps, and I wish you well if you are navigating any kind of autoimmune disease yourself. You don't need to go through it alone.